Hi, welcome. We're going to do Chapter 10, Homework 12. Exciting stuff. Let's do it. So we learned today, in the last couple of days, that rhombus has 4 equal sides. So what happens there is when those 4 sides are equal, we end up getting 90 degrees when those two cross. So that's ultimately what we're hoping to recognize, is that when all 4 sides are equal, it somehow creates this situation where the diagonals end up equaling 90. So if we know that RPS is equal to 90, and we know we could substitute in the expression 3x minus 12 being equal to 90, then we can use addition property of equality, and we can divide 3 on both sides, and we get 34. But the problem doesn't end there. That really just solves the mystery of the x. So I can plug this back in just to double check. If 3 times 34 and then take away 12 is 102, take away 12, 90. Okay, so I'm feeling really good about this now. I know that x has to be 34 if that angle is 90. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in up here. There it is. So this angle looks like something less than 90. So when I plug this in, this I guess would call RQP. Angle RQP would be x plus 11, and now that we know x is 34, we get 45. Okay. So now I can finally ask the question they've asked. So they've asked, what would be this angle, PST? Okay, so we kind of notice that all of these angles out on the edges are equal to each other. This angle, if I folded it hot dog, or this angle, if I fold it hamburger. So all 4 of these are equal. So if I know that this is 45 degrees, then I know that this one's 45 degrees. So that one has to be 45 degrees. All right? Okay. Question 2. It states that this is a parallelogram. So that's really helpful. So when I look at UR being 33, I know that's 33. When I look at Rx being 22, I know that's 22 because I know that parallelograms have diagonals that bisect or cut in half. So this whole diagonal must have been 44, and it got cut in half by this other diagonal. So now let's look at what they want as far as side information. So it has here that ST is 33. So we know that ST is equal to RU, and it's also equal to 33. Pretty cool. We also know that XT has to be equal to RX, which has to equal 22. Pretty cool, right? This one has to equal that one. So last, they're now talking about this angle. So I'm going to kind of maybe get a different color. They want to talk about angle RST. So RST. So they're talking about this whole angle right there at the edge. So we know that this whole angle at the edge, and I'm going to redraw because there's a lot going on here. So this whole angle is the one we don't know. Oh, wait. RST. Yeah, that's what we want to know. But they tell us that STU is 62. So notice this angle is less than 90. This one's bigger than 90. That should be a clue that these two have to add up to 180. So we can call this X, and we know that that angle plus 62 has to add up to 180. So when I kind of work backwards here, I get X is equal to 118. So I think that sounds good, but I'm going to double check. 118 plus 62, yep, is 180. So that's 118. Good job. All right, question 3. This looks pretty similar, right? This angle looks less than 90. If it was 90, it would be right about there. So it's definitely less than 90. And if it was 90, it would be right there. So this looks greater than 90. Okay, so we're looking at angle M, and if I added it to angle L, I'm thinking this is going to be 180 because these are consecutive, meaning they're right next to each other and they're not opposite. So that should mean that they add up to 180. So now I'm going to just substitute in the expressions we were given. So we were given 5x plus 6 and 7x plus 15 is equal to 180. Pretty cool. So let's combine the terms that are alike. Those two are alike. And 6, 15 add up to 21, and we get 180. All right, so as I subtract 21 from both sides, I feel like this might be a decimal, which is fine. I get 159 is equal to 12x. So x would have to be 159 divided by 12. Okay, so let's see what happens there. I end up getting 13.25. Okay, not the end of the world, but okay, so x is 13.25. So now what we want to do is we want to plug this back in just to double check. Okay, so if I take 13.25 and plug it in where I see this x, I get 5 times 13.25 plus 6. Okay, so this angle I get is 72.25. So I actually now know that this angle K would have to be 72.25, and that's what they've asked me for. So that's my answer. But I'd also like to just be sure. So I'm going to plug this in there. So 7 times 13.25, add the 15. Okay, so these bigger angles, these obtuse angles, I'm getting equal to 107.75. 107.75. So as I'm thinking about this, I just want to make sure that these two do add up to 180. So if I add them up, yep, I get these two add up to 180. So I'm feeling extra sure. There we go. Okay. So question 4. It says draw the picture. So it says a picture is a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle A, B, C, D. Then it says it has diagonals at B, D, and AC. So I've drawn that as well. We've intersected these at letter P. So I'm going to call that P. Now they're telling me the whole diagonal, so it's kind of hard to write it in here because there's a lot going on, but this whole diagonal is BP. Oh, I think this is supposed to be a P. Sorry about that. BP is equal to 9x minus 5. Okay. So the whole thing is equal to 9x minus 5, not just this little part, the whole thing. And then we also know that AP is 2x plus 5, which means we also know this is 2x plus 5. So we kind of know from our worksheet that in a rectangle, the two diagonals are equal. So we know that, oh no, that's BD. That's supposed to be BD. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, I'm going a little crazy. Okay, so that was BD. The whole thing is called BD. Sorry I confused you there. So the whole thing would be BD. BD has to equal AC because in a rectangle, the two diagonals are equal. So 9x minus 5 would have to equal 2x plus 5 plus another 2x plus 5. Okay, so that's what we got. So when I look at this, I want to say 5x when I subtract 4x to both sides, and then when I add 5 to both sides, I get 15. So it looks like I'm getting x is 3. But I'm not really done. It doesn't really ask me for x. It asks me for dp. So I noticed to myself, if the whole thing, well, actually, I don't even know what the whole thing is. I know that one of these legs is, if x is 3, so if x is 3, I have 2 times 3 plus 5. So that's 6 plus 5. So what I know now is this should be 11, and that should be 11, and that should be 11, and that should be 11, right? I could also plug it into B here. So when this is 3, 9 times 3 is 27. Take away 5. Okay, and that's 22. And that should make sense. The whole thing's 22, and each little piece here is 11. So DP would have to be 11. Good job. Okay, 5. So we're trying to make a kite. So let's see how that would work. I'm going to go -1, -3, 2, 4, -1, 6. And I want to make a kite. So there's probably more than one answer here, but I'm just gonna go with it. Probably the most common answer would be probably there. Does that make sense to everybody? So there's a way to double check this, again, based on the definition of a kite. So the definition of a kite means consecutive sides equal. Two sets of consecutive equal sides. So these two sides are equal, and these two sides are equal. So let's just double check that the point I picked would be true to that. So the length of a side, I can try to draw an imaginary right triangle. And by doing so, or I can actually shade it in if I want, this right triangle, using Pythagorean Theorem, will tell me the length of the hypotenuse. So notice this right triangle is a 2 and a 3. So the length of the hypotenuse would be 2 squared plus 3 squared, and take the square root. Here would also be 2 squared and 3 squared, and take the square root. So the length of that yellow line has to be the same number. So I don't really need to calculate it, but I could. That would be 4 and 9, take the square root. So the length of that's the square root of 13, and the length of this one is the square root of 13, and those are definitely the same length. Square root of 13 is equal to square root of 13. Now let's check this green one on the bottom. I go over 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I can calculate the length of this side and this side, and I know they have to be the same because they're both create a right triangle, 3 squared plus 7 squared. Same thing over here. Okay, so pretty cool. That would be the square root of 9 and 49. Same thing here, 9 and 49. So 9 plus 49 is 58. So the length of this side is the square root of 58, and the length of this side is the square root of 58. And we're now ready to do our perimeter. So we didn't have to find exactly those numbers because we knew that this would be equal to that, but we kept on going. So I think maybe we knew we were going to have to find the perimeter of this kite. So a perimeter is the length of 4 sides added together. So the 2 short sides are the square root of 13, and the 2 longer sides are the square root of 58. Okay, so we say to ourselves, that's how many square roots of 13 do we have? We have 2. We also have 2 square roots of 58. And so without really a calculator, they didn't say to turn it into a decimal. I think you can leave it like that. Pretty awesome. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you guys next week.